Welcome back, Cap here. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the T20 medium tank. This is the Tier 7 that precedes the Easy 8 and the Jumbo. You'll be moving on to the T20, and then after the T20 you go into the Pershing. So, just generally looking at this tank, it's not very big. It's the first impression you get of it, and it's kind of ugly. Just aesthetically anyway to me. It, as you can see, size-wise, a lot smaller, not a very big target. It's got decent gun depression, it's not too bad. But get on to the stats and stuff. 1100 hit points, nothing too special about that. I mean, Comet's got 50 more hit points. This one's got 1150, the VK3002D at Tier 7. Panther's got a little bit more, I'm not entirely sure why. But 1100's not too bad. Tank weighs 31 tons, 560 engine horsepower. See, there's only 2 engines, and the upgraded engine only gives you about 40 more horsepower. It is noticeable, but it's not a huge difference. And you got the tracks. You have 2 radios. 615 goes up to from 395. So on this tank, the radio is kind of the last thing you want to end up doing. When you're starting off with this tank, you gotta have a lot of this stuff kind of unlocked, I think. This engine here is unlocked on the T21 for me, and I was on the T21 before I was on the T20, so I had that unlocked. So really, I got some credit tracks, and I didn't get the real tracks, and then I ended up getting the turret, and I already had the gun from the M6, so for me this transition was dead easy on this tank. I didn't have to grind hardly anything. I just played it, unlocked the tracks, unlocked the radio, and I was good to go. So if you're already in the American line, you already get to share a lot of stuff, which is quite nice. So the top speed of this guy is about 56, which isn't too bad for a medium. Like, it's as fast as the Easy 8 is. Traverse speed's 37. It doesn't feel very mobile to me, though. There's other tanks I have in my garage that have the same similar stats, but it just doesn't feel very mobile. Like, the Comet to me feels more mobile than the T20 does, even though the stats don't maybe reflect that. So the armor is completely forgettable. You can try and angle this thing, like you might be able to bounce some like M5s, I don't know, M5 Stuart shots if you're going up against one of those. There isn't too much that isn't going to go straight through this tank. I mean, I've shot these things up with my Tier 5 tanks. But the one thing you do have to be careful of is this gun, because it is potent. So you got 63 in the front, and it is sort of sloped. You probably got a weak spot there, but I mean the whole front's probably a weak spot. Lower glacis, weak spot. 50 in the sides, and it's straight up and down. And a little bit of a side skirt, which might count as spaced armor, might not. And you got a little bit of the tracks, and then in the back you got a nice big area to shoot right here. So yeah, not a lot of angling in the sides of the back really. But, I mean, anything's going to go in through there, including HE. So, you got turret armor of 88 in the front. You might be able to bounce some stuff. It is slightly sloped, not too heavily. But the sides are straight up and down. The back has a bit of an odd tapering to it. But, so you got 88 in the front, 63 in the sides, and 63 in the back. So, the turret, if there's a strong point to the armor on this tank, I guess it'd be the turret. Moving on from the turret, actually this is, oh, I can't switch back to the main turret. I must have sold it or something. Anyway, moving on to the guns. When you start out with this tank, if you've gotten through the Easy 8 and the Jumbo and the T21, pretty much any number of American tanks, you'll have the M1A2 unlocked already, which is good because it's not a bad gun to have at Tier 7. I mean, I suppose there could be worse guns, but when you're just starting out, I mean, the rate of fire is still pretty good at 18.818 rounds per minute. But it's the same stats you've seen 100 million times: 128 penetration, 115 damage, and after a while, it's pretty underwhelming. Like, it's fine on a T21, but on a medium tank, you expect a gun that's a little bit bigger. And what you do get eventually when you unlock it is the 90 mil gun, and it's fantastic. The rate of fire isn't great at 6.38, but it's better than 4, like on the T29 or something. So the average damage is 240, 160 penetration. Accuracy is pretty good at 0.38. It's not like Panther amazing, but 0.38 isn't too bad. You can do some sniping with it. It is pretty accurate, and you do a heck of a lot more alpha damage than some other tanks at this tier. Just about every other tank, like the T43 only does 180, Panther only does 130, Comet only does about 140, 150. This thing does 240. It's a lot easier to be more of a deterrent in this tank as being a support tank, because you don't necessarily want to be up banging around and brawling with people with it. But yeah, the alpha damage on it's fantastic. So 2.3 aiming time, and this is a gun that will also carry on to the Pershing. It's also used on the T29 as its base gun. So looking at my loadout here, I don't have anything too special, just a rammer and gun loading drive, and I dump my toolbox on here. I take 30 armor piercing rounds, 12 APCR rounds, and 6 HE rounds. Normal loadout for this stuff. I do carry these just in case because I don't like burning to death. And my crew. I don't think I'm going to end up keeping this tank. There's nothing too amazing about it. Plus, it's a prototype tank. It never really existed. So I'm not maybe too keen on keeping it. I'm really looking forward to getting the Pershing, though, because it was a real tank. And I'm not having bad games in this tank, though, by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I think I've done about 16, 17 games in it, and I'm over 70%. So that's not bad so far. My crew got 6 cents because this crew has been carried over from a number of tanks that I've had, so it's a little bit more loaded out than some of my other tanks. So I've got repairs and firefighting and situational awareness, a bunch of off-road driving, smooth ride because I do like to shoot on the move a bit, snapshot for turret rotation, more repairs, mentoring for getting all these crews better, and then 6 cents. My third skill for all these guys will probably end up being Brothers in Arms, just so I can get everything better. And then I think by then I'll probably have the Pershing once these skills are a little bit higher. And that's about it for the garage review. I'm going to show you some replays. Alright, so we're on Redshire here. This is a half Tier 7, half Tier 8 game. Well, I guess there are some Tier 6s in there as well, and they're at the bottom there. And I'm just going to go over here and poke into the trees, see what I can see. Evidently not too much at this point. A little bit of waiting here at the beginning, so I'm just going to speed her up. As you can see, there's a pretty decent amount of tanks camping on the hill there. Probably not enough up in the north, but what are you going to do? Medium tank's not going to hold that top part too well. So we've got a VK that's come through the bottom here, and he stops. And that must have hit the dirt. So it definitely didn't hit him. And this one's going to bounce off his gun mantlet, I think, when I take it.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Yeah. So that just got him in probably at the toughest spot possible. But he does have a lot of armor in his turret, so, and it was frontally.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
And that shot, I don't know why that shot didn't go in.
Enemy armor is
But
destroyed.
that one went in because he had his turret turned to the side and he gave us his back, but he probably should have died before. I don't know why that other shot bounced off him, but... So then we get another side shot here.
Enemy armor is hit.
on a jumbo. As you can see, like that was about 300, 400 meters away, and it's pretty accurate. You gotta let it aim down though. You don't want to be rushing this gun too much because you got to make your alpha damage count. You don't want to miss. So I'm playing pretty conservatively here because there's a lot of tanks I don't want to really engage too much. I mean, I've run into so far I've run into the two Tier 6 tanks, which is pretty lucky, but just don't want to be too aggressive. Not quite yet. You can see here we got a Panther 2 coming around. So the plan for me right now is I'm just going to try and skirt up here a little bit, see if I can get a better vantage point to shoot down. I get 5 shots on this guy, and it goes in. It's only got about 297 left. I'm pretty sure he gets nailed. I'm pretty damn sure that shot went in. So I spot an IS taking on our IS-6, and I want to try and help him out as much as I can. And my DPM should outshoot him, so that ended up turning out pretty good. So managed to help save the IS-6. Now there's a whole bunch of tanks clustered up on this middle ridge part, trying to block us out. So I'm just going to see what I can get shots at here. And that T69 is too far behind the ridge. Still playing pretty conservatively because I don't have a lot of armor. I don't feel like dying. But our team is winning pretty handily here now. So probably afford to take a little bit more risks at this point. I'm just going to speed this up.
Enemy armor is damaged.
End up getting a side shot on a super Pershing there. These guys might have been in a platoon or just decided to hang out. So I didn't quite pull the trigger on that shot because I wanted to get a better shot like this one.
Enemy armor is hit.
And this guy decided to just, I don't kill himself or something here, but yeah. Ended up taking a shot at something. I think it was Panther. Got nailed again there. And as you can see, they went through the thickest armor on my hull, and which is only like 60 thick anyway, so it's gonna go through. So don't count on your armor. So that kind of sucked. I didn't want to have to drop back there, but I did. I think that was from actually the T-34 too. It was perched up on the hill there. So what I'm going to have to do here is use this ridgeline to come around the back end of this super Pershing and give him some tender love from behind. And then Yag Panther, he might have been the one that was shooting at me too.
We didn't even scratch them.
Yeah, and that one doesn't go through.
Enemy armor is damaged.
That one did though. And I still don't quite have shots at him yet, but we got an IS that's kind of holding him down, but then he gets nailed and murdered. So I know the super Pershing's still over here, and there's only 2 tanks left on their team, so I'm just going to creep around the back and try and put some side shots into him. And then someone else ammo racks him. And that's it. So this is a pretty successful game. I did around 2,300 damage and only took a couple shots, about 3/4 of the way through the game. And I was fairly conservative with this tank because there's not a whole crap load of ridge lines where I felt too comfortable with getting too far ahead and engaging the bigger tanks. I kind of use this guy as like a mobile sniping tank sometimes. Sometimes I do like to try and get around and be a little bit more mobile, but Redshire is I don't know, it's not the most mobile map in the world, so I just kind of hung out. One thing I've decided is that every time I go into the middle there, I get shot to pieces. So it's not the place where I like to go. I'd rather go into the city. And going into the valley with this tank would be a big mistake as well. Unless you planned on sitting in the back and sniping, because this tank's, the turret's not good enough. So right now I'm just going to blast up to here and try and catch any of these guys that try and sneak up through the middle and spot our entire team. So our SU-152's moved up a little bit, but not quite enough. He's just trying to cover it off. So, and sure enough, I missed my shot there though, which kind of sucks. So he gets into cover. But I've been spotted, so I gotta back up. So those are two heavy shots that came in on me. Yeah, it's one of those SU-122-44s, a pretty bad tank. Not a tank destroyer that I really want to have on my flank, really. So I'm gonna get as far deep into town as I can, so he doesn't get side shots on me. But he's gonna get side shots through the one part of looking into the church, so you got to be careful about that, especially on this level, because they can see in through here pretty easily. So we got an ELC, a Jumbo, and some Jäg Panther. And from here, I can see something.
Enemy is hit. Track hit.
So that leopard, he decided to jam into me and use his little murder gun on me, but
Got him.
he didn't get away fast enough. I think he ran into the church. So looking down here, see Black Prince, and I decide to shoot the fence. Didn't mean to shoot the fence, but that's what ended up happening.
Penetration.
So I lingered there a little bit too long to get a shot into the M6, which was a little bit stupid. So now I only have half of my health left. But at least our SU-152 has moved up and taken out the 44 that was in the middle. So now I'm going to have to be more conservative and watch these guys take their shots, pop out, take a shot, and then miss, obviously. So much crap in the way.
Enemy is hit.
So I'm catching him on his spot of armor right there that's flush to me. It isn't sloped at all.
Enemy vehicle
So
destroyed.
that ended up working out pretty good. So I'm going to get reloaded and I'm going to try and take another pot shot at this guy. But he's dealing with the other guy and he just shot. So I'm going to go pop out here,
Enemy armor is hit.
pump one into the front of the Jumbo. And now he's going to try and come out a little bit. And he nails me, so I got to pull out and take a shot here.
Enemy is hit.
Put another one into him. So right now the city's doing okay, but the valley's sucking out pretty hard. Okay, I've seen right there that he shot, but I'm just waiting a little bit. Still being fairly conservative. I don't think I can take much more than like one more shot from just about anything here. So the turret moves pretty quick. It doesn't traverse super fast, but... Okay, so that guy's concentrating on another tank now. So I'm just going to pop out here, see if I can take a shot. I got hit again. As you can see, just about anything from anywhere. Like, he was shooting at the most armored part of my tank, which is my gun mantlet on my turret, and I think just about everything went through. So you can't really count on the turret armor like you can on the T-43 or the Comet. You just want to try and not get shot. I wasn't very successful with the not getting shot part, but I was still getting my shots in, so that was good. So that's a shot in the side of the head of the T-150. I can see the Black Prince is aiming me down because our AT-7's backing off and our T-25 is trying to flank around. But since I'm one of the more mobile tanks in the team, I gotta try and get back and stop the cap. So it's time to turn tail, see what I can spot without getting spotted myself and shot. So we got a Jagdpanther in their cap. And all I really got to do right here is just reset, because I don't think that they're going to be able to get back. And our Hummel's pulled back into the middle of the map. But I got to worry about the cap. I'm not going to worry about that T20, and I'm not going to give my position away by shooting at him. So the IS is spotted by probably the AT7, and I've loaded HE here. But I don't have a clean shot at him yet. But it looks like someone reset on him, probably the AT7. And I reset there, even though he wasn't visible. So the T20 is rushing back to base.
Critical hit.
And I'm still shooting HE right now, and I was like, damn it! So that would have been much better if it would have been like a full damage shot. So I only did 98 damage to him, but I might have wrecked a module or something, who knows. So I'm having a bit of a driving fail here. But we ended up winning that game anyway, just from capping out. So not too bad. I think I did pretty good damage-wise. It was late 2000s or early 3000s worth of damage. Or maybe it was 2300. I think it was actually 2300 damage. It wasn't that much. But doesn't really show off the armor of this tank, but it shows that when you can actually sit there and you can trade shots and you can deal out quite a lot of damage. And the gun is fairly accurate, so even when that T20 was moving at the end, I was able to hit him. Alright, so we're in a Tier 8 match on Corellia, defending the flag this time. And this the one thing I don't like to do is to hang back really far. I do like to push up on the north side. Even on the south side, it is good to push up a bit. And as you can see, we've got an IS-3 and a derpy KV-1S coming up with us. So that's good. Being the fastest tank here, I'm going to get up here first. Tank climb sail's pretty good. As you can see, I'm doing about 30. The engine's pretty strong because it's not the most armored tank, so it is still fairly light. So I am just gonna be fairly conservative here. Let the IS-3 go out first because he is Tier 8. I come around the ridge here and I spot this dude.
Penetration.
An AC-48. So I pump one into him and drop back. And I don't want to get shot in the side here by either one of those tanks. They can do about 300-400 damage to me. So I'm just seeing if I can spot this other guy. But that doesn't happen. So now I've been spotted, so I gotta try and drop back. I'm kind of ramming into the IS or the KV-1S a bit. I wish he'd get out of the way a little bit. So drop back here, and our IS-3's taking one hit from the Tiger. I'm just gonna get tucked in here. So he misses his shot, so that gives me a chance to pop out.
That one didn't go through.
Unfortunately, that one didn't go through. And the IS-3 is hell-bent on getting himself shot here. Missed that shot on the Tiger piece hatch again, which sucks. So, but I'm going to reload by the time he gets up here.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Now one bounces too. So not having much luck there shooting the top hatches on these tanks. So what I'm going to do is, I think these guys are going to rush. So I want to try and back them off by flanking them a bit. Keep them on their toes. So I'm going to pop out here and lovely. Tiger 2 is like on a hell-bent mission to try and kill me.
Enemy is hit. One of our tracks is damaged.
So I try to outsteer him and get behind this rock, and he's run himself right into like 2 other members of my team.
Hit.
And unfortunately for him, I got 5 shots on him,
Is damaged.
on his turret. But he's concentrating on the guys in front when he's just totally giving me his side.
Penetration.
So that shot there goes completely through. Might have ammo-racked him. And then he dies. So that was a bit of a scary moment with a Tiger 2 bearing down on you. But things aren't looking super hot right here right now. And if I get shot one more time by that IS, my life will be almost extinguished. So I decided we've defended this flank pretty good. I don't want to take off too much more of my health here, so I decided to fall back a bit. Maybe see what I can do against some of these guys in the middle here. Because you can see we're actually losing at this point, but we just kind of managed to tie it up. Our IS-3 killed that guy in the hill. So I'm just trucking through here, and I'm going to see what I can get shots at. I'm gonna pull up, and ooh, IS-3.
Didn't even scratch them.
And I should have taken my time and aimed that better, because I'm not going to penetrate the side of his turret. So I see that he has shot, so I'm going to pull out,
Enemy armor is hit.
and that shot goes in. It might have been better to shoot the Hellcat, but so he shot again, so I know I got about 10 seconds to pop out and blast him.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
So I take out the IS-3, and it's 8-8 now. I don't have shots at him. And great, there's another IS-3 over there. I'm just gonna pop out, see what I can see.
That one didn't go through.
That one did not go through. I lost his lower glacis, and it bounced off his pike nose. So you can penetrate the IS-3, but you got to be careful where you shoot. I've rushed a couple of my shots. So I think this guy's pretty much decided that he's going to worry about all the other tanks in front of him, instead of worrying about me. I don't have shots at him, so I'm going to come around
Penetration.
and I plug him in, and it ends up tracking him too, so that worked out pretty good. Right now I'm just trying to flank as much as I can, because I know he's going to be worrying about other tanks.
Penetration.
And I should have been more careful there, but I ended up getting the shot. And now I'm just going to take the last one.
Penetration.
But I actually rolled really high, but it was like 9 short. So our Tiger 2 ends up taking him out. So things aren't looking too bad here. We're up 12-10. They've only got 2 minutes before the cap runs out. So it's kind of incumbent on them to attack at this point. But their Type 59 has full health, and he's like right around the corner. And this is where I kind of flunk out a bit. Well, not flunk out a bit, flunk out totally. Because a lot of our guys are beat the hell up. Our MT-25's managed to kill 4 tanks. I don't know how he did that, but he must have been doing a pretty good flanking job. So the Tiger II is coming over, and then the IS-6 goes, and the Su-152 goes, and kind of figure, okay, everyone's going after this guy. I should try and pitch in. In hindsight, I shouldn't have pitched in, but I just thought that these guys would hit him. So that guy hits him. The IS-6 drives right by him, and I don't know what he's doing. So then the Type 59 comes around and blasts me because the IS-6 doesn't engage him. So things aren't looking great. There's a minute left, and the Tiger II should be able to just get behind this rock and not take any more damage, but he's taking shots from the M6 on the hill. So the Type 59's almost down to 0. But now it's just our MT-25 left. And he's heading for the hills because they can't cap in time. So I'm just telling him to stay in the river, but he keeps trucking back. I don't know if he knows where the M6 was or is. But all in all, the battle it could have been more conservative, and I probably could have stayed alive a lot longer. I'm just trying to get actually still alive. But now the camera's acting all wonky donkey. So the T20, sometimes it's a bit of a hard tank to love. It's maybe not it just feels pretty average, but the gun really makes it for me. The armor is crap. The gun is great. The mobility is okay. It's not maybe quite as good as the Comet or some other tanks. It kind of feels like a slightly more mobile Panther with a way better gun. Like, I like the fact that the Panther has 200 pen, but I mean 160 on this tank is pretty good. And then if you load prem rounds, it gets like 250 penetration. So the best thing about this tank is the gun it gets. The fact that you can pull up to guys and do 240 damage and sometimes get 2 shots in for every shot that an IS-3 fires. You just out DPM guys sometimes. And if they miss, then you can just punish people. So the mobility's okay. Like, it's probably average to above average. The gun's fantastic. The armor is non-existent. And the gun depression seems to be pretty good. It's not as good as a Comet, but I mean, I don't think there's many tanks in the game that are as good as the Comet as far as gun depression goes. So this tank is not bad. Don't think of it as like, oh my god, I got to get through this tank to try and get to the Pershing. For the most part, it's been pretty good to use. There's like not much stuff to upgrade on it, and especially if you've gone through any of the other American stuff. So yeah, the grind on it's not bad at all. One thing that I would probably like to, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to end up keeping this tank just because I don't particularly love it. I'm more looking forward to seeing what the Pershing's like because I know the Pershing actually existed. I don't really like some of the tanks to keep most of the tanks that never really existed very much, like the blueprint type tanks. I'm not as on top of those things. I don't really like them as much. So for what this thing is, it's pretty good, and you won't be put out too bad by having to drive it before you get to the Pershing, coming from the EZ8 and the Jumbo. If it was more like one of its predecessor tanks, it would be more like the Easy 8, but with a much, much, much better punchy gun. So that's going to conclude the T20 review. If you enjoyed watching it, I'd really appreciate it if you liked it or subscribed. I'll be doing further videos coming up pretty quick here. And I'd just like to thank everyone for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.